Redditors, what has become so expensive, it's just not worth it anymore. Before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to the Vancher channel. Also, please share your thoughts on this video in the comments. Let's get started. Story 1. Having a bunch of different subscriptions to streaming platforms that either don't have what you want watch or have what you want but at a ridiculous price, sometimes with ads included. Answer: I don't understand why people feel the need to have all of them all of the time. Pay for 1 to 2 at a time. Watch everything you want on there and then cancel and come back when there is enough content to be worth it again. People say it's as bad as cable, but forget that cable had contracts, so you couldn't just cancel at any time, and you had to buy everything bundled together. Story 2. Grabbing something quick on the way home from work if my wife and I don't want to cook. The price of eating out is just not worth it anymore. We are paying $50 minimum for 2 people for non-fast food levels of food when it used to be under $30 for the same amount quality. Answer: 100. My 2 local restaurants that were my go-tos for takeout on busy days have all gone to crap. The prices aren't up, but the quality and quantity of the food is way down. One place is a pizza and sandwich shop, and we normally get the sandwiches, but they've reduced the deli meat by half. The other place does all types of American food. I ordered a fried chicken sandwich. For $15, it was maybe half a chicken breast on the bun and a small bag of chips. I actually ran out of chicken partway through eating it. Story 3. Honestly, most concerts. Love going to my local independent venue, but otherwise, it's got to be someone special who I haven't seen before for me to want to jump in. Answer: the prices to see someone popular are insane. I have 2 coworkers going to see Lady Gaga. They each paid $700. They had to do a payment plan. I did get really spoiled working in the service industry in a large city. Lots of free tickets to be had from reps and distributors, but I still can't imagine paying that much to see someone live for a few hours. Story 4. Haircuts for me. I started giving myself a buzz cut during COVID lockdowns, and I kept at it even afterwards because my barbershop raised the price of a cut from $18 to $45. Answer: I used to get highlights and haircuts every 3 to 6 months. Even had extensions for over a year. A year ago, dyed my hair to my natural color and have my sister cut my hair now. I used to pay $120 for a partial highlight, and now a partial is $220 and a full is $350, not including 50 toner, and sometimes doesn't include blow dry. Also, haircuts for women are now $80 and doesn't come with styling. Not to mention you are expected to tip on this. Tipping is not a problem. But tipping based on 20 of 500 is crazy. If I were to get my hair done again, I would probably only tip 30 to 50. Story 5. Streaming. It's no longer a cheap alternative to cable where one could find top-tier shows and movies. It's just digital cable now. Answer: just canceled HBO yesterday after they announced a price increase. It used to be the one service I'd always have while rotating Netflix, Apple, Hulu, but $18.50 mo for ad-free content that I cannot share with anyone outside of my household. I live alone. Is beyond ridiculous. The only streamers I continue to pay for year-round is Dropout, 6mo, and Shudder. I pay for an annual subscription which also comes out to 6mo. And then, depending on what I'm watching, I'll have one extra on rotation. I can afford the price increases, but I'm not paying them just because I can. Story 6. McDonald's. It used to be something I would go to occasionally if I needed a quick, inexpensive meal for me and the family. Now if I buy something for 4 people, it runs close to $50, and I might as well go to a more healthy deli or restaurant. Plus my tummy rebels about 20 minutes after eating it. Blech. Answer: fast food has become just as expensive as sit-down restaurants without increasing the quality of their food. They get away with it because it's more convenient, and people will pay for fast and convenient. I'm just as guilty as the next person, but it's the sad truth. Not uncommon for me, my wife and toddler to spend $35 to $40 for 2 adult meals and a kid's meal at insert any fast food chain. Story 7. Starbucks. It was always expensive, but with range to get it as a treat. But now it's just so ridiculous. I feel stupid going there, even if I have a gift card. Story 8. Skiing, snowboarding. In high school, we used to skip school and spend a day on the mountain. It's turned into a wealthy playground instead of a burnout leisure activity. Answer: yes. The lift ticket prices out west last year looked crazy, and I nixed the idea of going. I just went on a trip to New York. I agree. I assume it used to be cheaper, inflation considered, because my frugal parents took us in the 90s, and my mom commented that it didn't feel that expensive to her. So that says a lot. I wonder if as it has gotten more popular, they feel they can get away with charging more. Don't need to offer deals. People are paying. Story 9. Online subscriptions. I've often heard, it's only X.XX a day, which is less than the price of a cup of coffee. No kidding. That high price is one of the reasons why I don't buy coffee every day. Story 10. DoorDash. Even if I order one singular cheeseburger from McDonald's, which is less than a mile away, it'll cost $20. Simply put, not worth it. Story 11. The concept of going out with friends and grabbing a few drinks. Drinks are 12 to 20 range now. Way too easy over a few hours to drop 75-100 on an evening with tax and tip. Instead, just go to someone place, BYOB, and chill for grand total of maybe 5 to 10 in cost. Story 12. Las Vegas. Mandatory BS resort fees on top of high hotel prices, parking fees, limited perks. Lust spoke to a 20-year Bellagio vet, and he says the corporate takeover has eliminated the town. Story 13. Bowling. It used to be an inexpensive, fun way to spend time with friends. Now the bowling alleys are remodeled, high-tech, and offer full menus. No thanks. Story 14. I have 2 junk foods. Bag of Doritos was $6.25 at the grocery store last week. Vehicles. I was thinking about buying a new pickup. Mine has a trade-in value of $15,000. All right, cool. A brand new pickup with what I need is $75,000. Okay, so after trade-in, it's $60,000. On a 5-year note, that is still $1,000 a month in principal payment before you tack on interest. Even if you take into account special zero-interest financing for 3 years, that's still $1,000 a month for a vehicle. Story 15. Any product or service offered by a publicly traded company. The endless march toward more and more profit every year has and will continue to destroy any value offered to the consumer. Anything that is good will be made as bad as possible by the constant cost-cutting and price increases that don't stop until just before the consumer stops buying. They will offer as little value and quality as they can before you stop paying. This is how the incentives are aligned. Story 16. Living. Yet here I am, waking up every morning, sighing and trying to find a reason to get out of bed. Story 17. If you're spending more than 10 a person at Taco Bell or 70 for a family at a Mexican restaurant, something is wrong with that economy. Story 18. Submarine sandwiches. I know times have changed in everything, but I can't get my head around paying $12 before tax for a bloody sandwich. Not even anything fancy, just assorted, probably about $1 worth of actual meat and fake cheese. Story 19. Fast food. Yeah, I would feel shoot after eating it, but at least it was dirt cheap. Not the case anymore. Story 20. Going to the movies. I used to pay $5 to see a movie and another $5 for unlimited popcorn. Now it's $20 just to get in. Don't even get me started on the concession prices. Answer. We hadn't gone to a movie for a really long time, but a couple of weekends back we went to catch a first-run film. The admission prices are just stupid. I knew it was going to be bad, but I was genuinely surprised. Then popcorn and drinks. And you start thinking, this better be one hell of a movie for this cost. But what was weirder was that almost no one was there. This was around 9 on a Saturday. Pretty much nobody at the concessions. And in our theater, we were the only 2 people there. And it was a pretty big room. When we were leaving, the place had a sort of zombie apocalypse feel to it. It felt like there was nobody in the whole building apart from us. I think movie theaters are dying out quickly. So this will probably be a cost that will take care of itself in the near future because they won't exist anymore. Story 21. Tobacco. I'm currently 2 years smoke-free. I actually used to enjoy it. It was something that broke up my day a little. I know it was bad for my health or whatever, but I straight up just got priced out of the habit. On the upside of that, food tastes better now. I actually sleep better, and I don't feel self-conscious about smelling like smoke anymore. Story 22. Going out for drinks. Going out in general. Beer or other canned adult beverage. All in all, I'm not that upset. Story 23. Collecting or nice decorations. They're charging so much just to have that nice bonus of decorating your room. Story 24. I'm just going to recommend that any other older Redditors, don't be afraid of asking for a senior discount. I've been surprised at what some places discount give away. Story 25. Concerts for established bands. Don't get me wrong, you can still find pretty cheap concert tickets for small indie bands at club and bar shows. I do it, and you should too. Support the people who need it most. But you also used to be able to go see bands most people had actually heard of without paying an insane price. Now it's often like 100 minimum for most shows of a band with at least one hit. And you usually have to deal with Ticketmaster, which is its own irritation. And if it's like a superstar level artist, you're likely not getting in the door for less than $250 if you're lucky. Story 26. Food trucks. Used to be an economic way to try different foods, support mom and pop startups. Now, it's cheaper to buy a sandwich at a decent deli than it is at a food truck. Was absolutely gobsmacked at an event last week where a basic, not very good Philly-style cheesesteak was $22. Meanwhile, from local brick-and-mortar places, prices seem to range from $9 for franchises to $14 for indies. Story 27. A regular-sized bag of Pirate's Booty faux popcorn-looking snack is $8.49. It's like the price has slowly gone up over the past several years, yet I keep buying it because my kids like it. Almost $10 for a bag of chips. I know it's not the only grocery item that's gone up in cost within the past 5 years, but for some reason this particular food does not need to cost this much. Down with Big Pirate Booty for inflating prices so much. Story 28. Fast food, hands down. It used to be the cheap and quick option when you did not feel like cooking, but now it costs almost as much as a sit-down restaurant and somehow tastes worse. A burger, fries, and drink can easily hit $15 to $20, and for that price, I could make a better meal at home with leftovers to spare. Story 29. Movie theaters. Absolutely. I am ordering out less. Deliveries are just not worth the markup when I can drive there and get it home faster. Story 30. Probably flagging privileges here, but skiing. An average day pass for skiing is now $100, and many of those are limited to 4 to 6 hour windows. It's bananas. Story 31. Rent. My little brother, several of my close friends, my partner, co-workers, etc., are all moving back home or living with someone they can trust because the rent is insanely expensive. And for what? Section 8 apartments in my area now cost about $1,400 to $1,600 on average now. We knew that renting was throwing your money away, but not your entire annual income. Story 32. Any sort of collecting hobby. I collect Pokemon, so that's a huge mess right now. I just want to get a few packs to open with my kid. Now everything is like 3-4 times MSRP. Story 33. Streaming services. I'm not generally much of a movie guy, but was interested in the new Superman. So when it dropped on HBO Max, I considered buying a month to watch it. And a new show on there from Forrest Galante. Downloaded the app and saw the prices, laughed, and determined the ad-free month was not worth a single show and movie, then deleted the app and moved on. They recently had a price hike after that encounter of mine. I cannot imagine paying nearly $20 a month for one single streaming service. In general, the streaming market has become so fragmented, from every corporate entity wanting a piece of the pie, that the system is unsustainable. If you want access to a full season suite, you need Netflix, Prime, HBO Max, and Hulu. Additionally, Crunchyroll if you're an anime fan, and each of these has severely raised prices over the last 5 years. At that point, you're just paying for cable again. Story 34. Beef. I know some people don't eat it for ethical reasons, and some people don't eat it for health reasons. But even if you like beef, it's just not worth the cost anymore, IMO. Story 35. Sporting events. Ridiculous ticket prices, coupled with ridiculous parking prices, coupled with ridiculous concession prices. Story 36. Amazon Prime. It used to be a really good deal for someone like me who bought a lot of stuff on the platform, but the frequent price hikes made it far less compelling. Also, 2-day shipping in recent years became very unreliable. Packages would frequently arrive much later than 2 days, which defeated the purpose of one of Prime's biggest draws. The added features to justify the hikes didn't help, as I never used them. I eventually decided to just stop paying for it, and I quickly discovered I didn't miss it. Story 37. A bushel of blue crabs. It wasn't so long ago that you could get them 70 a bushel, and now they are up to and over 300 a bushel. Story 38. DoorDash. I forgot I had a year's subscription, and it auto-renewed. That part is fine. I, however, never actually use it at all anymore because the actual food ends up being like $17 to get to me. Like, holy fudge, I'm not paying that much to eat a basic small breakfast. I give up. Story 39. I think pub meals in the dining area are way too expensive, and the quality more often than not is shite. I don't eat there anymore. Not worth it. Story 40. Coffee from coffee shops. In London, you typically pay $3 to $50 to $4 for a cappuccino. I can buy 1 kilogram of roasted-to-order coffee beans for about 20, which gives you about 70 double espressos. The difference in price is crazy. Story 41. Movie theaters. Tickets are expensive for what is often a really frustrating experience due to other customers. Why would I risk spending $20+ per ticket, excluding snacks, to see a movie just for some jerk in front of me to talk through it or text on his phone at 10,000 brightness? I would rather just wait for that movie to hit a streaming service and watch it in the comfort of my own home with cheaper popcorn. TBH, if movie theaters were real hard jerk about policing customers' crappy behavior, I probably wouldn't mind spending that kind of money every now and then for a date night or something. But I am absolutely not going to spend it when there is such a high chance of a subpar experience. Story 42. My hobby. I'm a collector, and it's just way too expensive to buy things from overseas anymore. I don't even bother looking at the online stores anymore, because what's the point? Story 43. Books. I used to love going to Barnes & Noble and picking up a book. I love rereading them, and collecting books is sort of a hobby. Older paperback books are now more than 20. New released hardcover, almost 40. Insane. Fully a library and Libby user now, which can be hard because the popular books are so hard to get a hold of. Story 44. Minor things such as food, clothing, and shelter. Also transportation, entertainment. Other than that, things are just peachy. Story 45. Rent. It feels impossible to get a decent place without paying most of your paycheck. Even tiny apartments are priced like luxury condos. Story 46. Broadway theater tickets. Besides, most of the shows are awful. Nobody sings anymore. They scream, and everything is over-amplified. And even with all that, the lyrics are unintelligible. Story 47. iPhones. I'm bored of being in the rat race for the new model. Yes, my battery mysteriously starts to die in 12 months in September, but I'm not paying $1,000 anymore. Story 48. Magic the Gathering. Love playing the game, but sets are coming out too fast and half the sets are quote-unquote premium sets. I've started to proxy cards simply because it has gotten too out of hand. Story 49. Darn near pretty much everything except random household items. Tape, light bulbs. Literally everything sucks compared to just 10 years ago when it comes to consumer goods and services. Story 50. Snowboarding. It used to be a fun thing you could go up and enjoy for the day, but it now costs nearly $200 for a single-day lift ticket. And so many people are up there, you spend a majority of the time waiting in lift lines. Snowboarding was the closest thing I had to church, and now it's a sport that I've been priced out of enjoying. Story 51. Organic anything, but especially milk. I get the benefits, but I can't justify nearly 8 gallons with 2 teenagers in the house when regular is $3.50. I'll still go for organic on the Dirty Dozen produce list, but that's about it. Story 52. We stopped eating out pretty much ever. We cook at home and enjoy a TV show we recorded, and noticed we are losing some weight in the process. Story 53. Live music and concerts. I remember when you could see incredible bands for $20 to $30. Now even smaller venues charge $60 for GA tickets. And don't even get me started on Ticketmaster fees. The worst part is watching scalpers grab all the reasonably priced tickets within seconds, only to resell them at 3x the price. Really miss the days when live music was accessible to everyone, not just people who can drop hundreds of dollars. Story 54. Xbox Game Pass Ultimate. Just too expensive for me now, and I don't have enough time to feel like I'd be getting my money's worth. Story 55. Streaming service. We started paying to get rid of ads. Now we are paying for the ads and the service. Time to just unplug and get back to getting things done. Story 56. Most fast food chain restaurants. There are sit-down restaurants with similar prices and higher quality food. Story 57. Going out to restaurants. I live in a MCOL city. After tax and tip, a reasonable dinner for 2 is like $120. Nope. Story 58. Fast food. If I'm going to spend that kind of money on takeout food, I may as well just go to a nicer local place instead. I remember when you could get a basic fast food meal with a 10 bill. Now you're lucky if the order comes below 20. It's crazy how everything costs so much now. Story 59. Beef. 6 to 10 a pound, no fudge way. Gives me heartburn. Clogs up my arteries. They can keep it. They're crazy if they think they can starve the poor with this bullshit. We were raised on rice, beans, and cornbread. FAFO. General Strike Project 2028. Story 60. Major concerts. My buddy is a Rush fan. He's an executive in federal government, and he is priced out of their concerts. Mainstream music shows are for the rich or those unafraid of debt. I prefer 5 cover local bands anyway. Story 61. Fast food used to be cheap, fast, and decent. Now it's expensive, slow, and still decent. Paying $10 for a 6-piece tender meal at DQ is crazy. Or a $5-7 breakfast sandwich at McDonald's. I probably get fast food maybe 3-4 times a month, if that. Story 62. Everything. Literally. Rent, groceries, entertainment, etc. It just really feels like life isn't worth it. Then you go slave at a shoot job so you can barely pay to keep the roof over your head or food on the table. Story 63. Reading this thread is just depressing. Nothing is worth what it used to be. We're just all bent over a barrel chasing the things we grew up with that gave us joy. Story 64. Fast food. I can get a far better lunch to go from a sit-down place for practically the same price, sometimes even less. Story 65. Fast food value menus. I got through college years on McDoubles and beefy 5-layer burritos, both below a 1. Now buying 2 to 3 of either, and I might as well just go to the store and buy a pound of ground beef, some cheese, and my carb of choice to hold it, because the price is pretty much the same for much less quality and quantity. The value menu stuff was priced cheap because you were getting convenience and low price at the cost of quality. Now you get none of it, and you pay 3x more for the privilege. Story 66. Fast food. Fudge that. Back in the day, it used to be cheap. Fudge that shoot. $19 for a combo at a burger joint. $8 for a burger? Ridiculous. This is why Chili's and Applebee's are doing so well with their 10, 11, 12 items. Story 67. Texas State Fair. Even with the free tickets my kids get from school, between paying for parking, going on 2-3 rides, and eating one meal there as a family, we end up spending over $200-300 on a single outing. I've been to less expensive concerts, even when I have to pay $20 for a double whiskey sour. Also, that $200 to $300 was nearly 10 years ago, the last time we went to the state fair. I know it's more expensive now. Story 68. Fast food. Restaurant dining isn't bad as long as you don't eat at a big chain like Chili's. Coffee shops and ice cream is outrageous. And anytime an 18-pack of eggs passes 8, I pass. Story 69. Coca-Cola and other soft drinks on the go. 330 ml or 500 ml cans bottles are just way too expensive to grab and go without thinking about it. Story 70. Everything. I retired from the military a couple of months ago and haven't found a job yet. My pay has been cut by more than 50, but my expenses are about the same, so I don't do anything extra that costs money. Plus, I'm not sure I will get paid on November 1st because of the shutdown. Yay. Story 71. Avocado, cheese, cured meats, taxi, drink beers in bars, cigarettes, candy, fruit, vegetables, fudge it all to hell. Story 72. Once you make over a certain amount of money, business owners should be regulated in their profit. It's such a joke now, the greed people have. Story 73. Tipping. Many of the on-screen tip suggestions start at 18. Nope. If it had a choice of 10, 15, 20, I might do 15. But when the lowest is 18, I'm like, fudge you for being greedy, you get nothing. This is in restaurants that don't have table service. Story 74. Streaming services. I stopped pirating because it was more convenient to just pay Netflix, but now they want me to pay 5 companies for less service than I used to get. Back to the 7 C's for me. Story 75. In my country, it's pastries. Getting some pastries for family to celebrate a birthday used to cost around 15 to 20 euros a few years ago. These days, it's closer to 50. Story 76. Formula 1. Used to be able to go to GA at Coda and stay in Alzren for a few $100. Now GA sucks. They keep taking more away and jacking the price anyways. I live in California and everyone always asks if I go to the Vegas race because I'm a huge fan and close by. But it's a grand minimum just to go, not even to stay somewhere. Story 77. For many Americans, the answer is about to be health insurance. Open enrollment starts November 1st, and ACA subsidies are set to expire. Story 78. Concerts. I remember seeing Metallica, Machine Head, Mastodon, and Him live for $35, US $70 approx. Yeah, the exchange rate change is crazy. Today I'd be seeing some two-bit band in my city for probably more. Other things that are just ridiculous. Adult beverage at bars. I paid 10 for a double last night on my birthday, and because of the price, it was my sole drink. Story 79. Fast food and fast casual. If the delta between those and nice places, you might as well quit going to the former and just save for the nice occasional outing to the latter. You can also get a pan, wok, and other cooking implements at Goodwill for under $30 and learn to cook anything from YouTube or mommy bloggers. Story 80. I pay $15 a month for my phone, and I don't know how some of you are paying $200. What does your phone do? Give you free massages? Story 81. Xbox Game Pass, which was already so pricey for me I was keeping track of the games I played to see if buying them outright would have been less than or equal to Game Pass for the year. Some videos, games, and consoles now, with them becoming 70 and Xbox introducing a 1000 console. I'd rather just upgrade my PC at this point. Of all console companies, Nintendo is probably the only one I can see myself still buying a console from in the future, simply because they do on-the-go gaming really well and have good exclusives. Story 82. Reading through this thread, basically everything is shoot and too expensive now. Everything, lol. Story 83. Health insurance. If you're reasonably healthy, you can deposit at the $800 to $2,000 per month into a high-interest savings account to be able to pay out of pocket for normal visits and likely have money left over. Getting a catastrophic plan for huge emergencies only, cancer, car accident that isn't covered, etc., is the way to go. And if the Obamacare subsidies aren't reinstated now that Republicans have stripped them out, this is going to be double a cost savings, as insurance will be completely unaffordable for over 75% families starting next year. Story 84. Getting my nails done. Seriously, it used to be a little splurge. Nowadays, it's completely outrageous in price, and service is in the basement. Story 85. I bought a crap load of coffee beans and froze them just before Pres Jerk Hat came into power, but I am starting to run low. Coffee is still up about 30-40 even at Costco and way outside my comfort zone. Cutting back more daily, waiting for the tariffs, already found illegal by upper courts, to collapse. May just give it up. The fact that King Orange Shitgibbon is trying to use protective tariffs on coffee, a product we cannot grow in the USA, shows how absolutely fucking stupid the man is. He clearly has no understanding of economics. His 6 bankruptcies probably should have tipped people off to this, but America seemed to be the most easily duped nation on the planet. Story 86. Vacations and any kind of holiday trip. Airlines have jacked their prices, extra charges for suitcases, extra for choosing a seat, parking in airports, airport food, hotel charges, add-ons, resort fees for normal hotels, charging for parking at the hotels, meals, admission to attractions, etc. I quit booking vacations and try to do short 2 to 3 day local mini vacations and still get charged $200 to $300 per night at a below par hotel in cheaply built hotels with no soundproofing and being kept awake by inconsiderate drunks, transport trucks, kids running in halls, and overly loud neighbors blasting their TVs at 3 in the morning. Just not worth it anymore. I'm talking to you, Mr. Patel. Story 87. Eating out has become way too expensive. I don't like cooking, but I can't justify ordering food or going out for dinner anymore, except for very special events. Story 88. Seriously, we will find a restaurant with big portions and just get 2 items and share with our kids. Waters only. If they got bottomless anything, we will go there often. Story 89. Skiing, snowboarding. For 15 years, I got hundreds of days a year on the mountain. Nowadays, 4 would be a lot. It's 60 worth of fun, yet day tickets are hundreds now. Priced me out of my favorite thing in the world. Story 90. Fast food. I can honestly eat at some restaurants and spend about the same as McDonald's and get way better food. Story 91. Meat, like real meat. It's $14 for 4 chicken breasts at my local discount grocery store. I get 4 meals out of it. If I get a frozen box of chicken balls, I can get 8 meals for 7. I'm in Canada, and our cost of living is higher than the US and Europe. Story 92. Fast food. I worked at Wendy's for a bit, and I watched families of 4 drop over 50. For just 4 combos, it's insane. I can't even cash 50 or more without a fingerprint and the money going in the safe. And it was every day this would happen. God forbid you DoorDash it. Story 93. Specialty dessert items like cupcakes, macarons, cookies, or bougie donuts. When times were good, it was easier to spend $5 on a fancy treat as a little indulgence. Now, it feels like price gouging for a mediocre item. I'd rather make some simple cookies at home now instead of overpaying for the latest overhyped trendy dessert. Story 94. Going out to eat at the local bar for a few drinks and mediocre food. Few drinks, each a sandwich and wings are $100, plus tip. I'll stay home with a bottle of wine and a frozen pizza. Haha. Throw some fresh parm on a Red Baron and you have top quality pizza. Story 95. Flying home for the holidays. What the fudge is a 1K round trip domestic in the United States? Eliminate me. Story 96. Eating out. I have a good salary, but to take the family out to a crappy McDonald's is 50 to 60 USD. No F-sesking, thank you. We save up our restaurant budget to hit up the local 5-star restaurant once a year. Story 97. Fast food. Low price was fast food's greatest appeal. If it's as expensive as slow food, what's the point? Story 98. Pokemon cards. I've always been a fan of Pokemon, and I would occasionally open up a pack or two now and then if there was a set with cool cards. Then I started collecting a bit more seriously, specifically going after special shiny Pokemon cards. Then suddenly 0 stores were selling them because scalpers would grab everything, then sell them for a ridiculous price. What started out as a fun little treat every now and then, when I had extra money and happened to be at Target or Walmart or wherever, has now become a chore and just not fun. I buy packs occasionally from online, but it's just not the same. Not when all I can find are Chinese packs that would normally have gone for a couple dollars and are now going for double the price of what you'd pay for an English pack in a store. Story 99. Most of what used to be 10 to 12 wines are now 15 to 20, which defeats the point of their value proposition. Then what used to be 20 wines are now 30 or even 40, which is even worse. Story 100. Most concerts. Hundreds of dollars for a ticket to see the artist on a big screen with thousands of other people. Story 101. Disney World. Streaming sites that require a subscription. Any new iPhone. Brand name cellular services. Story 102. The diner by my house. My wife went today for lunch with a friend of hers. She got a grilled cheese and fries and a soda, and it was 30 fudge bucks. Story 103. Fast food. I mean, I didn't eat it often to begin with, but the last time I decided to treat myself, I almost thought about canceling my order after being told to, please pull ahead to the window. Death, a phrase I don't plan on hearing for a long jerk time. Story 104. McDonald's. They do know they're fast food, right? A meal now costs about as much as from a real restaurant. Insane. Story 105. For me, it's going to the cinema theater for a movie. If you go even just with 2 people, it might well cost just as much as the Blu-ray on release, which you can watch in the comfort of your home with nobody else around. I used to love going back in like the 90s and 2000s, but that was before we had really good home movie setups and before the cinema prices jacked up. Story 106. I dropped Netflix when they broke off the DVD rentals into a separate deal. Have only bought a gift card a couple of times to binge something I found remotely interesting. I thought it was going to be a panacea and that I could stream anything at any time, but nope. When you start having your basic staple movies go away every so often, screw you. When I couldn't load up Jaws whenever I wanted, I knew it was dead to me. Story 107. Travel or vacations trips. Even trips within my province are insane. I'm not paying $30 for a car pass to drive across your line drawn in the sand, $250 a night and 25 hours to park, and then still $30 to take a shuttle because you've closed road access, and then $25 to walk around your grassy area and pay $25 to enter your craft fair. So many places are adopting nickel and dime policies, it blows me away. Story 108. The county fair. It's always been full of weirdos, but this year we got some free tickets through work, along with free parking and free wristbands to ride all the rides. If we had paid, it would have been 16 entry, 20 parking, and 43-person wristband. That would have been $250 for a family of 4 before the 20 turkey legs and 8 lemonades. Story 109. Going out to eat. Not only is it insanely expensive, but now that everyone uses frozen Cisco food, it isn't even worth it. As annoying as cooking is, I would rather spend money on higher quality ingredients and make something nice at home. Story 110. A daily bar of chocolate, or at least 5 days out of 7. It's gone too expensive, and bars have shrunk in size, leaving me feeling dissatisfied with the little you get for the high price. So now I don't really eat chocolate outside of Christmas, Easter holidays, when it is abundant in the supermarkets and more affordable. Story 111. Going out to eat. I enjoy cooking, although the convenience of eating out at times is sure nice. Now the price overrides the convenience. Story 112. Concerts. If someone big or popular is coming, it could cost upwards of $200 a person from the box office. Never mind what scalpers will charge once they get a hold of tickets. Tapping out. Corporate greed ruined live music. Story 113. Honestly, eating out. Even basic fast food meals cost as much as a nice home-cooked dish now. It used to be a lazy treat. Now it feels like a splurge. Story 114. I appreciate this thread for not making me feel so alone in my thriftiness. Stuff is expensive these days. We tend to make good use of kids eat free days at restaurants, the movie coupons at Costco that include popcorn drinks, and are super picky with what concerts we buy tickets for. We only buy used cars, no payments, and are constantly assessing whether or not we truly use the streaming services we pay for, i.e. we recently canceled Disney. IYKYK. I can't presently think of a single item or service that I can say, it's not worth it, about though. Story 115. Just found out yesterday that local cab fares have increased. Fortunately, I had enough money on me. Yeah, I'm old. I still carry old-fashioned currency. Unfortunately, due to failing eyesight, I can't drive, so I will have to cough up the extra fare on those occasions I need to get somewhere not near a bus route. Story 116. Restaurant food. It just doesn't taste good anymore. Even the places that aren't crazily priced, it's like the quality is just awful. Story 117. Brand new cars. I always swore I would never buy a used car. I didn't want to buy other people's problems. But now, new cars are way overpriced and come with a host of issues, many related to all of the new tech stuff they are loaded with. Unless there is a huge shift in the new car industry, I will be looking for lower mileage used cars from years prior to all of the high-tech add-ons. Story 118. Beef. My grandmother owns a beef cattle farm. She just broke 3 ALB on a steer at her local sale barn. That's unheard of in her area. I'm not surprised to see ground beef at 6 ALB, but I'm not eating it from a store anymore. Story 119. Going out in general. Restaurants and bars. The bill for 3 drinks is my entire budget for going out for a month. Story 120. Restaurants. Quality has gone down and prices have soared. Just like our groceries. Definitely not going unless it is a real big occasion. Story 121. Non-event family eating out. Basics clothing. Rather buy top-end second-hand. Parking in London. Legal advice. Story 122. In the UK, a working-class meal, like fish chips, for a family of 4, is now way beyond many people's means. Story 123. Grocery store. Baked goods. Seriously, I saw a 6-pack of chocolate chip cookies for like $5 at the grocery store. I know chocolate prices are up, but for $5, I can still make a batch from scratch and come out way ahead. Story 124. Specifically, non-alcoholic drinks at restaurants. No, I do not want to pay $4 for a Diet Coke from your dirty soda fountain. Story 125. My monthly massage membership was once an affordable luxury that I adored and used to its full extent. Now, it's just a luxury. Story 126. All of it. Gas, groceries, entertainment, utilities, taxes, travel, medical, not having medical insurance, pet food, clothing, breathing, seeing, listening, participating, giving a shoot. Story 127. The movies. I took my son to see Minecraft in the theater. 2 regular tickets, a medium popcorn, and a small water was $40. I just can't justify that for most movies when I can buy the Blu-ray 4 months later for $20. And it's not like any of the new movies are absolutely must-see. Story 128. Streaming services. Canceled all of them last year after I got what felt like the 5/6th email that year of my subscription price increasing. Story 129. Fast food. And also fudge them for keeping prices high with bogus excuses. After a week or so, it was the easiest thing to cut out of my budget, and healthy too. Story 130. Concerts. There are so many artists I would love to see perform live, but the cost is so astronomical that I can't justify it. I used to work at a major venue and heard patrons discuss the ticket prices for various artists, and I honestly can't see how they made it work. Story 131. I only support local businesses. Too many big corporations running the show. The only way to fight back is to stop feeding the animals that prey upon us. Story 132. I gave up doing my makeup and getting my hair done. I'm 35. It's just not as important to me anymore. I still look clean and tidy. I just don't do all the extra stuff anymore. Story 133. Eating out for breakfast. The worst cup of coffee you've ever had for 4. A 16 protein plate that is so cold they could have made it yesterday. Somehow the bill is 40. Story 134. Camping. If you're willing to go without bathroom facilities at a primitive site, it's still not too bad. But all the best campgrounds at national and state parks nearby book up literal months in advance and have tripled in price since COVID. Story 135. Food delivery services. Half the time your order isn't correct or the driver steals your food. It's already so expensive anyway. Story 136. Watching sports is getting to that point. Why do I need every streaming service plus extra add-ons just to watch my local team? Story 137. 12 packs of soda are like 3x what they were recently. Sometimes it's cheaper to get one from a vending machine or at fast food. Story 138. Fast food and pizza. Shoot, insane these days. Growing up, a combo was $5-6. The dollar menu was even better. Getting a whole jerk large pizza with 3 toppings was $14.20 if you left a good tip. Nowadays, the dollar menu is not actually a dollar menu anymore. It's $1.99 or $2.99 menu. A combo is 12 or more. Getting a large 3-topping pizza is $40 to $50. Story 139. Everything. If I didn't live in an apartment, I'd grow my own food. But also, one person can't grow their own food, spin their own yarn, weave it, sew it, build their house, etc. Story 140. Skiing is an absolute ripoff these days. 200 to sand in a giant lift line. Get a handful of runs in. ×4 for members of the family. Story 141. Everything. I feel bad for teenagers these days. Can they even afford to go bowling with their friends and get some pizza? Went to a bowling alley recently and it was amusement park prices. When I was a kid, my parents would give me 10. It would cover a couple games of bowling, a couple slices of pizza, and a Coke, and some left over for some arcade games. Story 142. Tariffs cost me my job. So everything. LMK if you need a field service tech or anything remote with 3D printing. Story 143. Living it's literally too expensive to live unless you're a permanent draw on welfare. Hence why birth rates in USA have plummeted with the working class. Story 144. Fast food, food trucks, chain restaurants. There are still some mom-pop restaurants, diners that provide good food at reasonable prices, but are getting more difficult to find. Story 145. Weddings. I plan on eloping. They are an egregious amount of money, even if you pinch pennies to the utmost extent. $10K minimum to get married for a dress, some food, and a few tents is just unbelievable. Story 146. Takeaway. Used to be able to get cod and chips to feed a family of 4 for under a tenner. Now you're looking at a tenner each. Story 147. Lawn service. I cut my own lawn, especially since nowadays they want to charge $100 for the front and backyard. Story 148. Professional sports. Casual restaurants. Nice restaurants are still worth the splurge IMO. Health insurance. We just cash pay roughly $13 the cost of services. Story 149. Insurance is ridiculous. Things we are forced to pay for, also including groceries and healthcare, should not be so ridiculously expensive. But our government wants to absolutely squander hundreds of billions of dollars on stupid shoot instead of alleviating some of that financial burden. Thanks, Trump supporters. Story 150. Fast food. I don't eat it often, mainly road trips, but it's the same as going to a better tasting restaurant half the time. Story 151. Most groceries. I've adopted a pseudo-vegetarian diet, not because I particularly wanted to, but because the taste and quality of most meat no longer justifies the cost. The amount of foods I don't cook anymore because I'm unwilling to drop the on a recipe just to try it out is absolutely insane. since cooking used to be a hobby and passion of mine. Now I just cook and eat to fuel this mortal husk instead of enjoy the process or fruits of my labor. Story 152. Pokemon cards. My husband and I were having fun picking up a few packs or a box when a new set came out, but now we can buy one box for the same amount that we were buying two for just a few years ago, and half the time with fewer cards or less pulls. I know that's very first world problem of me, but we are so frugal as is. That was our fun little hobby. Story 153. Fast food. If we go McDonald's, it costs nearly $30. That's for 3 people. That's multiple meals cooked at home, which actually fills us up. On a day when my son fancies junk food instead of a proper meal, I just cook him burger, nugs, etc. And we have saved so much. Story 154. Collecting old comics. I used to enjoy buying old comics, getting them graded, and then either adding them to my collection or selling them. Now they are so overpriced I just gave up. Evidently everyone else has more money they're willing to spend, but I don't have it. Story 155. Any type of fast food. It's fudge ridiculous. They are supposed to be fast and cheap. Who is going to pay that much to get fat and destroy the toilet the next day? Story 156. Getting takeout. It's expensive and the food sucks. I got chicken parmesan from a local place the other day. It tasted like complete jerk. I ate it there at the restaurant and it was so much better. Story 157. College. Why go into massive debt when you won't get a job anyway? And if you do, you'll be replaced by AI a couple years later anyway. If you're destined to become a plumber anyway, may as well do without wasting years and thousands of dollars on college. Story 158. OnlyFans has gotten outrageous. The ladies really try to nickel and dime you. I've stopped taking my erectile dysfunctional medicine in order to save on money, and I pay my heat and water bill instead. Story 159. Major League sporting events. NFL games and MLB games are stupid expensive. Concession prices are completely ridiculous. And unless I want to drop over $500 on my seat, I'm sitting up in the third tier in the nosebleeds where I can barely see the game. Might as well just watch it on TV with HD, replays, and my food at home. Story 160. Bowling. Why is it now $70 for an hour, not including shoes? Used to be a cheap activity I could do with my family, and now we're spending $120 just to bowl 1 hour. Shoes and crap food. Story 161. Taco shops in Southern California. $14 for a fudge carne asada burrito. $18 for super nachos. Fudge ata here. Story 162. Going to the movies. Wait a few weeks and watch it at home. At least $80 for 2 tickets, popcorn and 2 drinks when you could must get a larger screen TV, eat your own preferred snacks, and watch the movie at home, where you can pause if you need to pee. Story 163. Living Dude. Our new substances dealer neighbors got 3 months behind. Car not registered to park. Nitrous outside their place. They don't work, have addicts walk by at 3 a.m., and now, they did mediation and went to court just to be given $4,000 from assistance to pay all of rent, and the property has to accept it. Our friend said their energy was behind, got shut off, paid it, got assistance and fully paid, and was given $2,000 credit. They work. Meanwhile, dying last year and looking for a job, there was 0 qualified assistance. F me. Sometimes I think my life lotto was 70-30. Story 164. Concert tickets. Saw U2 on the Joshua Tree tour. Decent seats, lower level, not far from the stage. However much people may dislike on U2 today, in 1987 that was the hottest fudge thing on tour. It'd be comparable to seeing someone like Taylor Swift today. Adjusted for inflation to today's dollars, my tickets would be $49. I wanted to go again the second night, so I bought scalper tickets. Even those scalp tickets in today's dollars would be $112. Story 165. Most dining out. There is one reasonably priced family restaurant in town, but even they are expensive compared to a few years ago. Story 166. Going to the movies. Some theaters near me are charging $18 to $20 for a single adult ticket, even during weekday matinees. My girlfriend and I went to see Poor Things on opening night, and it was $50 for 2 tickets. I'm still shocked about that. I know it was opening night, but movies used to be an affordable, even cheap thing. Don't even get me started on concession prices. Story 167. Going to the movies. It's not worth the sticky seats, overpriced popcorn and drinks. I'll wait a few months so I can stream it in the comfort of my own home. Story 168. Fast food. Most restaurants, at least by me, not worth it. Multiple subscriptions. A lot of fun grocery items. Story 169. Fast food. It was never worth it really, but at least it used to be cheap and fast. Now it's neither. Story 170. College. Unless you have a real plan leading to a real career, law school, med school, engineering programs, finance, don't do it. Learn a trade and make 50 to 70K at 18 years old. There are so many open jobs available. Buy yourself a house by 23. Live debt-free. If you want to start your own business, go for it. If not, you can still make a great living. Story 171. Collecting records. I still like them. They have just blown way past any reasonable level of value you can get out of them. Story 172. Collecting. Well, anything nerdy, really. Action figures, Transformers, trading cards. It's all priced through the roof, and the quality keeps going down. Story 173. General aviation. The price of rentals, avgas, and insurance have gone up so much over the last decade, I can't afford to fly often enough to stay proficient. I've been considering switching over to gliders, but the nearest flight club is about a 2-hour drive, and I still need to lose about 30 to 40 pounds for it. Story 174. Fast food. 23 for Five Guys, 12 for a McDonald's value meal. They jacked up prices during COVID and reaped those sweet stock gains. Now they are caught between a rock and a hard place. Lose profits or lose customers. They pick customers so far. Eventually, we will all look at McDonald's and those lot for what they are. Mass-produced dog food injected with color and flavor. Do your colon a favor and avoid all that crap. You don't want to need yearly colonoscopies because McDonald's gave you precancerous anal polyps. Story 175. So far this year, I've canceled Paramount, Disney, Hulu, HBO Max, and Game Pass. I haven't regretted turning any of them off. I didn't realize how little I was actually using each of them. Absolute waste of money. Story 176. 2 games of bowling, 5 shoe rentals, 5 people, 130. Denny's for breakfast for 4 with decent tip. This story 177. Eating outside. Once you figure out how to make tasty food, it is a game changer. Using public transportation for daily commute. Learning to restore your dopamine system so you're sensitive. Story 178. Buying coffee to go most mornings. Now I have my own coffee machine and I've saved around 2,500 AUD in the first 12 months alone. That and the quality became hit and miss. Story 179. Cocktails and eating out. Cheaper to make your own, and if needed, even order in. You aren't having to tip a server, and you save 15 on each cocktail. Story 180. Haircut. Only every 6 to 8 months. Make quality food at home. Rarely go to a restaurant as it's not inspiring. Only 1 subscription movies at a time, and none for the entire summer. Boycott all American corporations that have bent the knee, i.e. Amazon. Buying much less meat, more vegetarian meals. Will not buy Argentinian beef when that hits the market here. Support local, support small businesses. Saving lots of money, reading more books, and eating better. Story 181. Casual shopping. I wasn't big on it anyway, but now I know I can find the same thing online. Cheaper. If I go to buy something to just any store, Walmart, TJ Maxx, etc., I know I will be coming home with teary eyes and my bank account severely hit, so I won't go anywhere. It's not even that things are expensive, but things that are junk and clearly cheaply made are expensive. Don't worry, I know who to blame for that. Story 182. Soda. It used to be $4 to $5 for a 12-pack of cans. Now I've seen it at $11.99 a pack. It's a special occasion kind of thing now. Story 183. Well, I live in Little Podunk, Brownwood, TX. The next few big towns of civilization to shop, such as Abilene, San Angelo, are like an 11-2 away. But you're just getting out of town to just window browse at the mall is getting expensive. To just get away and out of town and to eat in said town for the day is getting costly. Story 184. Barbecue. Most barbecue places here close because they want to charge you like 20 for a few pieces of meh brisket and a couple mediocre sides. Story 185. Going out to dinner. Mediocre food followed by the expectation of a 20 tip for average service, at best. Story 186. I heard people with new cars have to pay a subscription to use the CarPlay. Like what? To even use the maps on it? Story 187. Streaming. I canceled all my big company studio subscriptions. Roku TV free channels is good enough. It has cooking shows and Wicked Tuna and Highway Rescue. Straight to streaming movies and shows suck. A fad that needs to pass and be reflected in subscription numbers. Story 188. Using the AC. 5 years ago, my bills were around $200 to $275 a month during the summer season. This year, I've had bills as high as $550. That's keeping the temp between 74 and 78 using an Ecobee with Eco mode on. Also, this year, we used the AC significantly less than 5 years ago, and it was still more expensive. I am in Michigan. Story 189. Almost 100 of the things mentioned here are because they were traditionally priced for the middle class. And our political system has been manipulated for 45 years, since Reagan, to transfer as much wealth as possible from the middle class to the upper class. Full stop. That's all this is. We're the boiled frog in the pot, wondering why there are so many dead frogs around us in the diminishing water. Story 190. Drinking out or drinking with dinner, unless you know the exact amount of adult beverage. Bulk items are becoming less bulk due to reduction in size. Computer components are rising in price, and I'm not talking about GPUs. Story 191. Store-bought beef jerky. I used to get those Jack Link sticks of teriyaki for like 10 years ago. Now it's like 3-4. Story 192. Dining out and cinemas. We used to enjoy going out as family for a movie and dinner. Now both activities are off the table. Story 193. Fast food, subscription services, Magic the Gathering, going to the cinema, adult beverage, chocolate. Paid €7 for a share bar the other day. Story 194. Eating out. I make more than enough to do it. I just don't value the experience for the most part. I can buy really good fish and meat and save the money for things I value more, like overseas travel. Story 195. Haircuts. Usually cut my own hair, but decided to get one a few weeks ago. 40 later and realized I could have done the exact same thing for free. Story 196. Sneakers. I mean, there are still cheap sneakers, but any medium quality or cool design are at least $200 to $300. Vans still get quality shoes or boots for $50 to $100, but sneakers are now mostly fabric, PU, fake, leather, etc. Story 197. I bought a bag of sour Skittles today at a gas station for $3.98 and an Arnold Palmer, and somehow paid $6. Story 198. IMO smartphones. If you don't emulate a video game console, there is no difference between a $200 and a $2K cell phone. Often the only thing is that the $2K phone has a 200 camera integrated. Story 199. Business class tickets. I used to treat my parents to business class flights once every few years, and now it just can't be done. Even credit card points have become so devalued. Story 200. My husband's is fast food. It used to be cheap, but now it's just about as expensive as a restaurant meal. We're now in agreement to skip the convenience and save up for the rare, actually nice dinner out. Story 201. Milk-based coffee drinks. Oh, you want a flag white? That'll be $7, please. I can buy 4 liters of milk for that much. Not worth it. Story 202. The 64 GB RAM kit I bought a few months ago for $270 tax is now over $500 tax. So I guess I won't be populating those 2 other empty slots for a while, until the AI bubble bursts and we're all screwed. Lol. Story 203. I got a cheap 30 skull shaver when the pandemic started and have not paid for a haircut since. Don't buy the expensive skull shavers either. They just slap their name on the same cheap ones you can get at Amazon. Every 3 months or so, I replace the blade for like 14, which is far cheaper than my 25 cuts I used to get. Story 204. Going to an NHL hockey game. Between the ticket prices, we always get the cheap seats. Ticket fees, parking, gas, cost of food and drink. 1 beer costs $18 at the arena, not including tip. It generally costs my husband and I around $250 to go to one game. Just a regular season, nothing special. Tuesday night game. Not buying anything at the pro shop or having a full-on meal. Just going and having a few beers. We've been going to games for 25 years. We used to be able to get tickets for 10 each, take public transit for 3 each, and get a beer for about 5. We used to spend 50 tops, and that was for everything. Yes, I know inflation and all that, but man, I miss going. There was a time when we would go to 25 games a season. Now we can only go to 1 or 2. And even though I always have a blast, I always stress about the cost, and I'm starting to ask myself if it's even worth it. Story 205. Chocolate. Due to global warming, there were lesser crop yields and cocoa got expensive AF. Cocaine too, since every ship leaving Venezuela gets blown out of the water. Story 206. I'm not even a big fast food eater, but deaf fast food. Their price raises has made me a healthier person because of it. Rare inflation W. Story 207. Giving a shoot about what other people think about you. I spent the last 30 years trying to impress people, to realize that the only person who matters is myself. Now I live for myself, no one else, not even my husband. Because of I can't be true to who I am for myself, I can't be true for anyone else. Story 208. IDK about other regions, but here all new housing builds are shoot for quality. Like, can't believe all this trash made it past the inspectors, building, electrical and plumbing, and was deemed suitable for a habitation permits, not to mention the ridiculous price tag. Answer. This is what happens with you have incredibly powerful interest groups like the NAHB, National Home Builders Association. They actively lobby against more progressive building codes. The building codes that commercial construction adheres to, like the IBC, are years ahead of residential. If people truly understood the lack of building codes that residential adheres to, like structural integrity, fire safety, energy efficiency, etc., it would blow their minds. Just a simple thing like air barriers and the amount of money it would save you. Annually, people would seriously rethink whether that upgraded kitchen or bathroom would be so important. An estimated 25 of your energy is lost through walls and other non-airtight extrusions in the wall assembly. Source: architectural consultant with over 18 years of experience in building assembly and sustainable design. This is all based on US BTW. Edit: messed up the NAHB acronym. Edit 2. Added region. Story 209. We were looking at ordering in pizza the other night. It was $45 for a pizza. What the stupid fudge. Nothing motivates you to eat in instead of being lazy like that. Story 210. 12 packs of soda. It used to be a couple bucks, and now they're pushing $10 for a 12-pack of soda. I haven't bought a 12-pack of soda in years because it's so dang expensive. Story 211. Restaurant food. It is becoming out of reach. I still see many people eating out and wonder how they can afford it on a regular basis. Story 212. Sadly, tons of stuff, especially tasty cuts of meat that once were unpopular and require work like oxtail. Beef cheeks at Food Max are $7 a pound, and I'd probably trim 30 of their cut before throwing it in the pressure cooker. Story 213. Netflix. We also got rid of Amazon Prime, and our lives haven't really been any harder. Everyone should consider it. Story 214. Food delivery apps. Way more expensive than buying direct and usually arrives cold. The food place loses loads of money to the app, and the delivery drivers often make less than minimum wage, and the apps aren't even very profitable. It's not really working well for anyone involved in the transaction. Story 215. Ski vacations. Unless you get some sort of local pass or ski bummit, the lift tickets and everything else is too much now. Answer. The thing is, because of those passes, it's actually cheaper than ever for people who live near mountains and make a lifestyle of it. You can get an epic pass that gets you unlimited all-season access to like 50 resorts for the price of literally 3-day passes. Which is cool for locals, but there are a lot of downsides too. Mostly that the resorts are crazy crowded now, and it's completely unaffordable to be a casual or beginner skier. Story 216. I'm glad my kids were young when theme parks were still possible. I honestly don't know how Disneyland, Universal Studios, etc. stay in business. Story 217. I live in Utah, and the community here loves Disneyland. I know I have a tier of rich called Disneyland Rich. I don't know how people can afford Disneyland with their 3 kids. Story 218. I was going to order a pizza at my local shop nearby, but then thought about the cost for once. Instead, I drove to the nearby Walmart and got a frozen tombstone instead. The difference now is staggering. 50 large versus 5 frozen. I felt good about this decision. Story 219. Well, I dislike to add this to the list, but going to the theater. My son and I went to see Sinners a couple of weeks ago. 2 tickets, 1 large popcorn, 2 large drinks, and 1 box of chocolate candy totaled $83. Story 220. Remember when McD had the dollar menu? Remember when tacos from TB were $0.99? Remember when Subway had the $5 footlong? Pepperidge Farm remembers. Story 221. Cola. Most brands of chips, a new car, branded clothing, even if good quality. carpet, most arts and crafts supplies. It's a wild world. Story 222. Going out to eat. As a single person, I do it because it gets me out of the house and around people. Plus no prep or cleanup later. But darn, I used to look forward to the whole works on Sundays at a local spot. But after tipping out, it's almost 30. That's over 100 mo. Just makes me sad to feel I can't go anymore. Story 223. Cars. I am not changing mine. I am moving to full bike commuting. I am lucky to have everything I need close by, and my work is 5 miles away on relatively flat ground, so everything works out fine. Not everyone can do away with a car though, and when I see those prices... Story 224. Went to Popeyes today, on a rare occasion for fast food. They would not accept their own advertised special because we didn't have their app. Foo, won't be back. Story 225. Firewood. My primary heat source is propane, but we have a wood stove to offset. I don't have the time, or want to, cut and split my own wood. Buying it split already, by the cord, used to be affordable. It would vastly reduce the amount of propane the regular heater would use. Now, it's actually more expensive to burn firewood than propane. I've significantly cut down on how much wood we burn and keep it for just the coldest months. Story 226. I used to buy food every weekend. Now it seems more cheaper to make food yourself. Motivates a passion for food experimenting. Story 227. Anything chocolate at the moment. Yes, I am aware of the cocoa price. Please don't flood me with, if you do a basic Google search, you'd know about the cocoa shortage dumbus, as I already know. The prices still suck though. Story 228. Adult beverage at concerts or sporting events. Even though I can afford a 12 Coors Light, does not mean I will enjoy it. Story 229. Streaming services. They started as a cheaper cable alternative, but now with rising prices, ads, and too many platforms, it's just not worth it anymore. Story 230. Wedding dresses. My sister just got married and spent $3,000 on a dress she wore for 6 hours. I'm planning my wedding now and decided to rent instead. Same gorgeous look, fraction of the price. Story 231. Soda. Brand name cereal unless it's on BOGO. Oreos. Most items at a bakery. Potato chips. Movies at the theater. Eating out. Amtrak. Theme parks. Food delivery. Story 232. Housing. You're better off renting financially than buying. You can take the difference in what your mortgage would be versus rent and invest it. Story 233. Vinyl record collecting used to be a cheap, fun hobby. There's no reason a remastered 40-year-old album that was pressed this year and thrown on a Barnes & Noble shelf should be over 20 just because you put blue dye in the vinyl. The OG stuff is even worse. I wanted to get the original press for Siamese Dreams by Smashing Pumpkins, but they sell on eBay for like $400. I'm hoping the trendiness dies down so I get back into the hobby. Story 234. Pro tip, you can get discounted Amazon Prime with Prime Video if you receive government assistance, like EBT TAMP Social Security. There's a process to submit proof, and they will discount it to $5 to $8 a month. Also, Jellyfin is ridiculously easy to set up. Story 235. Jams and jellies. Even the Storehouse brands are $3.99 for a small jar of jam. Used to be 99 cents not that long ago. Story 236. NVIDIA is the only thing that comes to mind that seems to have an unlimited price tag these days. Remember when a $999 Titan GPU was some kind of god-tier absolute insanity purchase? Articles, YouTubers, etc. saying no one needs a Titan unless professional whatevers. Now a $999 GPU qualifies as mid-tier. $1,500 for a high-end, $2,500 for the current top-end GPU. And there's still a product missing from their lineup, so expect more. Story 237. Any of those new build houses. $1 million for a glorified shoebox that looks like it was assembled by tipsy possums, set on such tiny blocks you can hear your neighbors fart. Story 238. Chocolate. 2 months ago was fine, but now it has gone up 5, so I will just have to push away the craving. Story 239. Bring back Obama prices. Everything has been crazy expensive since Trump's first time in office and only been getting worse. Story 240. In the UK, it's become a trend to have hipster indoor food markets where there will be 20 vendors all selling different cuisines. Issue is that it is the same price as going for a sit-down meal in a restaurant for something on chips. Story 241. TV subscription. I find I'm often just subscribing for one show. 2 if you're lucky. I'm half expecting Napster to reappear soon. Story 242. It's not just things are becoming too expensive. They are also shrinking. Meals, chocolate bars, drinks, chips. They are all half the size along with the major added expense. I got a minimum chips from my local FCS the other day, and 8 got me a little bucket. It's a joke. Story 243. Movie tickets. I'd rather just wait for it to come on streaming or pirate it. You're telling me I can watch the same movie in my own home with subtitles and the ability to pause to pee for less money? Sign me up. Story 244. I'm a 40-year-old white North American male. While I never exactly identified as a hipster, I did very much enjoy vinyl and craft beer. Now both have gotten prohibitively expensive, and the fun has been sucked out of the two things that basically defined a large segment of my generation. Story 245. Oysters. I used to buy 25 1.0 oysters regularly across the city at happy hour in Seattle 10 years ago. Now you pay $5 each, no less than $3.50 at happy hour. Absolutely not worth it. I know it's not the restaurant's fault because the cost of product and doing business has skyrocketed. But darn RIP Elliot's 25 oyster happy hour. Story 246. Gasoline. Wait, no, that's actually cheaper than it's ever been, relative to the price of everything else. Unless you count the trillion-dollar defense industry that keeps it so cheap. Story 247. The upper-level fast food joints like Five Guys. You know, those places that, yeah, better than Mickey D's or Wendy's, but not as good as you can grill at home or get in a steakhouse. Wife and I hit the local Five Guys for lunch last week. 2 burgers, fries, drinks, $35. What the fudge? Arguments could be made for fast food being too high as well. A quarter pounder with cheese and medium fries drink will cost you $13 here. But what are you gonna do when that's the cheapest edible food around and you need a quick meal? But the Five Guys and Red Robin and Culver's places can kiss my pucker. Story 248. Meat. I'm in Denmark and meat keeps getting more and more expensive, especially beef. 400 grams, 0.88 pounds, of minced beef was $8.99 in my local grocery shop yesterday. Story 249. Delivery pizza. The delivery fee would be fine if drivers actually received the money, like a built-in tip. Nope, that goes to the business, even though drivers are using their own vehicles. Suddenly, a 15 pie becomes a 25 pie after taxes, delivery fee, and tip. No thanks, I'll just make the pizza myself. Story 250. Skiing. Going to the mountains on the weekend. Ever since COVID, anything remote from the cities, Denver, is stupid pricey and overcrowded. More than what it used to be, at least. Story 251. New cars. Prices seem to have crept up about $1,015K over the last few years, to the point that monthly payments are getting almost like a second mortgage. That's it for this video. Don't forget to support Vancher and my second channel, Vanchoose. See you soon.